I was looking for a city in West Yorkshire that I could include in this series, but I didn't come up with any leads, until I did. Here are the stadiums and arenas of Leeds, England. Why not start off with the biggest stadium in town, Elland Road, home of Leeds United, an on-again, off-again Premier League club. They are currently in the off-again phase. I know that stadiums aren't made to be looked at from above, but let's just say the birds flying over Leeds have reason to complain. They do often tweet about it, actually.
When are they gonna get that bloody place fixed up? Those mismatched roofs are such an eyesore. Elland Road, more like Elland Road.
It is a very old stadium, to be fair. In fact, when it opened, the Yorkshire Terrier had yet to evolve that Himalayan yoga guru hairstyle that it's known for today. Not only does this ground look a little rough around the edges, but there are also some more practical issues, like the obstructed views caused by the pillars holding up the roof in some sections. It is still a decent stadium, don't get me wrong. After all, it's the fans that make a stadium experience great, and by all accounts, Leeds United supporters punch above their weight. Headingley Rugby Stadium. Elland Road may be the biggest, but this place is perhaps the most remarkable sports venue in the city. Need I explain why? It is one of two conjoined twins. You can see how that may have come about. Both venues started out their lives as humble neighbourhood sports fields, and grew over the years. Neither one of the sports was so dominant that they could tell the other to sod off. This part of northern England is one of the few places in the world where rugby league is more popular than its posher cousin, rugby union. It was, after all, created just over 20 kilometres away from here. And so, unsurprisingly, Leeds Rhinos is a rugby league club, although the ground was home to a rugby union club for nearly 30 years. This stadium has been upgraded significantly in recent years. In fact, every part of the ground has been upgraded or rebuilt in the 21st century. Other than, well, you have a guess as to which stand has remained untouched. If you chose the Western Terrace, congratulations, you have eyes and a brain. Headingley Cricket Ground is home to the Yorkshire County Cricket Club, who are the most successful club of all time, at least in terms of first-class cricket. They've won the championship 32 times, firstly in 1890 when this ground opened. Sometimes half of the English national team is comprised of Yorkshire players. The reason for this, I believe, is that most Yorkshire cricketers get their start using a stick of rhubarb for a bat and a stuffed ferret for a ball. I could be wrong. Much like most county cricket grounds, the design is anything but uniform. The contrasts here are quite stark. This is the Carnegie Pavilion, built in 2010, and this is the Headingley Pavilion, built in olden times. I love that combination though. The church spire in the backdrop is the icing on the cake, or as they say in these parts, the gravy on the Yorkshire pudding. When I said these stadiums started out as humble neighbourhood sports fields, that wasn't exactly accurate. Take a look at the original pavilion from 1890. That is extravagant. First Direct Arena. Until this building was constructed, Leeds was the largest city in the UK without a proper indoor arena of note. They now have one of the most futuristic, cyberpunk vibes. As the fan-shaped seating layout suggests, this was designed for, and is mostly used for, concerts and shows. Leeds is the home of Chumbawamba, so I'd imagine that their concerts alone would be able to keep this venue profitable. It does host a bit of sport as well, as you can see the local netball team occasionally plays here. It must make for a slightly unusual experience for the players having all the crowd in one half of the court. But, I mean, they shouldn't complain. Just appreciate the fact that people have showed up to watch netball. No, I kid. Honourable mentions now. You may have noticed that there was a John Charles stand at Elland Road. Well, there's also a John Charles Centre for Sport, which is a complex that includes all sorts of sports venues. The main stadium, which is known as South Leeds Stadium, has a capacity of around 3,500. It's home to a football club called South Leeds FC, and an American football club called the Yorkshire Rams. John Charles was a former Leeds United player, by the way. I thought I'd include the nearby city of Bradford. Valley Parade. Firstly, I quite like the name Valley Parade. It sounds very jolly. However, the ground does have a dark history. I am of course referring to the fire that occurred during a match in 1985. The main stand went up in flames and 56 spectators lost their lives. That stand was built in 1911 and was mostly made of wood. The fire was allegedly caused by an Australian man who accidentally dropped his lit cigarette underneath the stand through a knothole in the wood. Anyway, lopsided is not usually a complimentary word. I mean, you probably wouldn't use it to describe a sports car or a supermodel unless you wanted to slap in the face. But in the stadium, I quite like it. Of course, this was caused by room constraints rather than just an aesthetical choice. I also like the Gryffindor colour scheme. If you're not all that familiar with English football, you might be a little shocked to hear that Bradford City currently compete in the 4th tier. And it's actually not even the largest stadium in that division. Odsal Stadium. Bradford might not have the world's most technologically advanced stadiums, but they're certainly unique. This is a rugby league ground that is sunken into the ground and has a track for stock cars to go round. A stranger combination could scarcely be found. I wasn't lying when I said it's sunken into the ground though. The people driving past the stadium probably won't even notice it at all. The capacity is rather large due to the vast amount of terracing. However, nowadays the Bulls rarely come close to filling it. A second-tier rugby league match isn't exactly the hottest ticket going round. It is a very versatile venue. In the past it's hosted a wide variety of sports from American football, to baseball, to tennis, even kabaddi. I think about a third of the city's population is of South Asian descent, so that makes sense. But yeah, it's a cool stadium. Directly south of the stadium is a leisure centre that is abandoned and was set to be demolished, but due to its distinctive architectural qualities, it has since achieved a Grade 2 listed status. I don't know exactly what that means, but I guess it won't be demolished in the near future. There's like water slides and stuff in here. There's also a small athletics ground called Horsefall Stadium. If a horse falls in the stable, but there's nobody around to laugh at it, does it still affect the horse's self-confidence? These are the things I think about when I'm alone in my padded cell. Directly between the two cities is the village of Farsley, which has one small stadium, with the lofty title of the Citadel. The only way in which it lives up to that name is if you're referring to the condition of it. Like most citadels, it has seen better days. Unlike most citadels, it could not withstand a siege. In fact, they let anybody in for a small fee. About 15 quid. In case you were wondering, why is this stadium so blue when the club that plays here is called Celtic and wears green and white? Well, they used to wear blue. And the stadium has now actually been updated to coincide with the colour switch. Farsley Celtic are apparently the highest ranked village club in England, currently competing in the National League North, which is the 6th tier. So there you have it. My favourite of the lot is probably Headingley Cricket Ground. There's modernity here, antiquity there, but it all comes together nicely. I did consider doing the entirety of the West Yorkshire built-up area, but upon looking at it there were loud grinding sounds and a sharp pain coming from inside my brain. Consider subscribing if you're new. There are more English cities to come. Thanks for watching, have a good one.